If you work with preschoolers who are frontally lisping the S, they are producing that TH sound instead of the S sound at the preschool level, and you're questioning, is it too early to work on the frontal lisp? I'm going to tell you right now to roll up your sleeves and stop questioning and get to work and focus on that frontal lisp. The earlier, the better. Before we jump in, I'm going to give you the 3 reasons why I want you to focus at the preschool level on that frontal lisp. The first reason why is because the S is a highly frequent sound. What I mean by it being highly frequent is that the child by kindergarten age will have produced the TH for the S over 1,000,000 times. And when that happens, you have really strong motor plans, motor programs in place that are inaccurate. And practice makes permanent. It's going to be much harder to change this pattern at elementary age than it is at the preschool age. It's highly frequent. They're going to be saying TH for S for a very long time. And my colleagues that work at the preschool level, they tell me that they can even see it in their literacy. They've seen children write for sun, THUN, thun, because that's what they heard. They heard that sounds like a TH sound. So this is something that we take really seriously and start at age 3 working on this frontal lisp. So that's one reason why, is because it's so frequent and practice makes permanent. The second reason why is we do have a crystal ball, and we do know in the English language there are 2 sounds that persist as error sounds all the way through adulthood. So those are the 2 that we're going to have our radar up for, that we really want to intervene early on. We know the trajectory with these sounds. We know that these are sounds that can be very difficult to change, even through adulthood. And the 2 sounds are the lisped S, and the other one is the rounded R. I'm sure you already knew that, because I think everyone listening today knows an adult that has an error like this. What we want to do, because it's persistent, and we know that this is something that can persist through adulthood, we need to take it seriously early on. This is not something that they just grow out of. The third reason why I say at the preschool age, this is a sound that you are going to want to target, is because neuroplasticity is at a higher level at an earlier age. So you can create greater change. Now, I find that when I began working with the 5-year-olds on the Lisp S, and maybe someone said, oh, it's not appropriate to work on the sound yet because it's developmentally appropriate until school age. So then I get them at age 5. I find it is so much more difficult to change because they have been already producing that TH as S for a couple of years now. So practice has made permanent. So the neuroplasticity is third reason why you're going to want to focus on that frontally lisp S as soon as possible. So what I'm going to share with you today, you're not going to find at a continuing ed training unless it's taught by me. You're not going to find this training on AI. You're not going to find it on the internet, which uses a lot of old school techniques that are from about 30 years ago as expert who primarily talked about what you do with elementary age children. With elementary age children, it's totally different than what you're going to do with preschool age children. And the reason for that is preschool age children don't have the same mouths as elementary age children have. They don't have the same language skills as elementary age children have, and they don't have the metacognitive abilities in which they're able to evaluate their own performance. That doesn't develop until age 6. So this is not what you want to be doing with preschoolers, is telling them what to do with different areas of their tongue. They can't do that yet. For motor reasons, they can't do that yet. For linguistics reasons, they can't do that right yet. And for metacognitive reasons, they can't do that yet. But what we do know about this is that we can do this by cueing them through the back door using incompatible strategies, which means if you're doing X, there's no way it's going to make it really difficult for you to stick your tongue out in that lisp S. So that is my way as we're going through the back door. It's like fine motor. You're not going to tell a child to do a pincer grasp by saying, hold this crayon with your thumb and your index finger, your middle finger. This is the pincer grasp. Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to break that crayon. The crayon's going to be too small, so they can't use the fist grasp. The same principle applies in speech therapy. You are going to give them that broken crayon. This is no way that you can produce this TH sound because I've made it nearly impossible for you to do so with the task I'm giving you and with the placement in the mouth. So before we even say the target word, it's really important to get them in a good position. So I'm going to talk about positioning first and then the target words that do magic. Now, as far as positioning is concerned, you can even feel this if you're listening to this in the car. If you have your mouth just down and you're just listening to the podcast, you're not talking, you're just at rest, you're going to notice the tongue is low and you have the tongue tip right there on the alveolar ridge, just resting there. That's the resting posture, okay? Now, that's not, when you smile, that's not what happens. If you have a big smile, you're going to immediately notice the tongue is going to rise, almost like a suction cup. And you're going to feel the edge of the tongue around that bumpy ridge that goes all around the mouth. So that makes it way harder to stick that tongue between the teeth now with a smile. So I'm going to say big smile. And then after that, I'm going to say teeth together. And a lot of them have put the teeth together and you see the tongue sticking out right in the middle. But then I'm going to add to that, brush your teeth. And I go like this. So when I say brush your teeth, oh, your tongue's sticking out. Oh, get that tongue in. You know, oh, that's going to hurt. So they do the brushing the teeth with their finger up and down. And then after that, we say the word. Now, this is how I differ from anything you're going to find anywhere else. I don't work on the S as a singleton sound. This is very important. And the reason I don't do that is because I want to use assimilation. It's where you're going to produce that S differently because of the sound that's coming after it. What we're going to do is we're going to have sounds in the back of the mouth after the S in the cluster. That's why we're going for the cluster, okay? And that's what we want, and the sound is going to be a back sound. So when I'm looking at clusters, these are the clusters that I like. My favorite cluster for a frontal lisp is SKR. It's spelled SCR, and that's why I'm always doing, can you scrape it off with my Swiss membership, and they're scraping the stickers off of the clipboard. The reason I like SCR so much is you're going from S, and what do you have next? K, elevated, and it's pulled back. That right there, that makes it really hard to stick the tongue out between the front of the teeth, right? So you have the K and the R. And the R, what do you have? The tongue, once again, is elevated and back. This is the opposite than a TH, right? So that if you want to work on the frontal lisp, you work on the SKR blend. What if the child cannot produce the R even with a maximum level of cueing? I would go for SKW. So it'd be SQU if it's spelled. Squeeze, squish, squash. So as you can feel it when you produce it, scoo. Where's your tongue when you do the ooh? Ooh, it's back of the mouth. The opposite of the TH. So those are the 2 3-element blends that I think are the best if you're going to work on getting that tongue away from the front teeth, from sticking out like a lizard, okay? Other ones that work great are any of the S blends that are 3-element because they have the R and the L in them. Let me give you some examples. So we have TR. So once again, stir. Do you feel that tongue wiggle back? We have SPR, spur. If you say it, you're going to feel it. That tongue, it's going back it's going back. This pulls away from the frontal lisp. We have even the SPL. When we're producing an L, the tongue once again is coming back and up. Spl. You're going to feel it for like splash it to me, please. Or we have the word spray, spray. Struck. So if it's a 2-element blend, what we want to do is go for something that is a liquid or a glide. And that's because we're going from the S sound, which is friction airflow, to an open airflow sound. So it would be like this, slide. Now you can see the L, what happens? The tongue elevates and it retracts. The opposite of a frontal lisp. The same thing with SW, swap. You can feel the tongue go up and back, okay? So this is what we're talking about with S blends. This is why I never work on the word seal. No, 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 no. I don't want to do that, and the child's going to say feel because I don't get any help from my friends. The clusters give you that retraction because of assimilation. That's what we want. We want that tongue to go up and we want that tongue to go back. Why? That is totally incompatible with it being a th in the front of your mouth. So that is the trick when you're working with your preschoolers on the frontal lisp. It's twofold. The first is get a good position. You want to prevent the frontal lisp. You do not want the child to say the word, for instance, scrape and say thrape. And then they say it again, scrape, and then they get to scrape off the sticker off of the Velcro board. You don't want that because that's 50-50. They don't know, did I do it right the first time? The second time, you're not really building new patterns. It's just confusion. So the positioning really matters. We're in a good position that makes it hard to do the TH. Now we're going to say a word that makes it even harder to produce the TH. We're going to front load, and then we're going to use something that has some helpers to pull that tongue back to make the TH even harder to produce. So that's the double-pronged approach that I use and it totally works, and I totally encourage you to do this early. The earlier you do this, the better results you're going to get. Now, I want to add to that, it's not always easy. And when it is not easy is when the child has an open bite. Now, some people refer to this as pacifier teeth. It's where you have literally a circle instead of the teeth coming together. The child could be a thumb sucker. They could be a heavy mouth breather. They could do the pacifier. And the research indicates that pacifier use beyond 3 years is associated with a frontal lisp, particularly if it's used for a prolonged period of time. So when you have these, what I find is that these kiddos really need a little bit more support in getting the tongue back. This is where it's going to become really important, I find, to even have the mouth opened a little bit. So for instance, I'm working with a child today that has an open bite and he is lisping. And if I say the word scrape, I will go like scrape, and I will have them open their mouth. Scrape. And I'll have them do like a horse bit. Now their fingers are not in their mouth, they're just giving them some proprioception, like a scrape. Now, if that mouth is open, that tongue is definitely not going to be out. They're not going to go, it's just too hard to do, right? So they're going to pull it back as well. So I do a little bit of opening up the mouth in words such as scrape, which really makes it difficult to lisp. A lot of times with the open bite, it is almost like they don't, if they have really, really clean hands, it helps even actually for them to push the tongue in the mouth and to hold it in, to feel it in the initial stages. It's really challenging. But I do find with an open bite, it takes a little bit more elbow grease. But I promise you, you will get there as well with the open bite. It's just going to take, I think, about twice as much work. And it's going to take twice as long to remediate. but it's still doable. So for instance, when I have a child with an open bite and we're doing the S, a lot of times that's going to take a solid year and a half to remediate. If the child's 3 years old, it's not until about age 4.5 that they really start getting it, that it's like, okay, this is when my tongue is out and this is when my tongue is in. It's really hard when the teeth together is not helping them because they do have their teeth together, but because there's an open circle there, the tongue just perfectly fits in that circle. I hope this is very useful to you. What I want you to do now is do what you do best, which is to roll up your sleeves and make the world a better place, one child at a time. You are always going to be first.